Hi, I'm Matt Miano, Events Manager with the Town of Dillon, standing here with Louis Skowyra. Louis, how'd I do with your name?
I think you did a bang-up job.
Excellent.
That was dead on right.
Louis is one of our council members, and we're here for our council update. I know we had a council meeting last night. Prior to that, we did hold a work session. I know Josh Blanchard from the Lake Dillon Theater Company was there to kind of give us his quarterly report. How are things over there at the theater sounding like they're going?
Well, it sounds like they're doing a great job. They have a lot of initiatives that are ongoing and year-round in terms of fundraising, and of course they're planning their programming schedule and whatnot. I do know their season just kicked off.
Did you say this weekend they had a new one open?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So they're in full swing up at the theater, and that's a great thing for the town and the community certainly. It's nice to be able to talk to Josh when he comes in and gives us sort of a state of the theater,
Sure,
if you will, and then certainly how that applies to us here in the town of Dillon. Everything looks great on their end. I know they have long-term goals and visions and strategies that they are pursuing.
I don't always go to those, but yesterday I was there, and it definitely sounds like they're doing some neat stuff over there as far as looking into the future.
Yeah, it's exciting, and certainly the town of Dillon is a part of that conversation, and the town of Dillon really wants to be a part of that conversation. I know the theater's board is, like we were just saying, doing a great job of getting that long-term vision in place, and for example, in terms of the theater pursuing a long-term permanent home, we here as a council, as a town, certainly plan and expect and hope that to be in Dillon, and we'd like to help as much as we can in that regard.
All right, great. And I know I work with them all summer long in correlation with their amphitheater concerts, and certainly like the relationship. Like you said, it really adds a nice kind of arts and culture piece to Dillon.
Certainly, adding the cultural component is a value to all of us here in the town. You might hear some buzzing in the background, and I think I
was going to say, speaking of arts and culture, I mean, this is a cultural place. Where are we?
We're here in beautiful, bustling downtown Dillon. We are at the Gentleman's Barbershop here. Of course, many of you men in the community, I'm sure, have stopped by here for.
I need to.
I didn't be the one.
Just don't tell anyone on town council. I see we do have a young gentleman getting his hair cut right now as well.
Absolutely.
Don't move.
You're on TV, bud. You're doing great.
Yeah. So we're actually going to chat with those guys in a little bit, but definitely we're in La Riva Mall. Last week we were actually downstairs at the bowling alley. So we're actually upstairs, still in the same building. So if you're looking to get a haircut, I know they do take walk-ins, and we'll go over that with those guys, get the phone number, all that information out to you. So
absolutely, fellas here in the county, if you haven't been in here to the Gentleman's Barber, do yourself a favor. Come on in. It's an acceptable form of pampering, in my opinion, for us men. So
I know that in the wintertime too, I'll stop in. They have some wassail. I don't know if you're familiar with the
No, I've been in here for that before.
Wassail,
absolutely, yeah.
All right,
not such a bad thing either.
All right, I'm going to go back to my cheat sheet.
Yeah,
so after the work session, we did move into the council meeting, and I know that you guys recently had revisited some of the town's liquor license requirements, and where are we presently with those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been an ongoing conversation that we've had over the course of the last several months. Really, as many of you are familiar with. We're digging deep into our town codes and reevaluating everything, and certainly the requirements for liquor license holders falls into that category. So we've been looking at that recently, and it's been a process. More recently in the process, we've reached out to the local business community, the people who are affected by this sort of a change. We've engaged the DBA in a conversation, and I think we've reached a nice middle ground that's very much in line with the liquor codes in our surrounding communities.
Sure, and you commented on the Dillon Business Association. I mean, I think that speaking with those guys, I work with Bill Falcone, the president of the organization, and vetting this stuff with them is obviously a great process for you guys.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a buzzword for our council is this public process, and you'll probably hear me say it a few more times in this council update alone. But when there's a particular stakeholder who will be affected by anything that we're discussing, we got to bring them into the conversation. So examples of that in the last 12 months, the town park process that we engaged in last summer really was a successful model for what we want to pursue going forward. engaging in these public forums, inviting people in and allowing them a forum in which to share their opinion.
This would be a great, I don't mean to cut
No,
you off, but
please.
this is a great kind of teaser. I know last year when we were talking about the town park, one of the issues was hosting an event in town park, and we are actively looking to do that. So again, it's that public process kind of coming to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard from the community that that's something that people would like to see.
It makes more work for me, Louis.
And I'm sure you and your staff have plenty of time on your hands. I'm
Well,
sure.
you know, we do our best. I don't have time to get a haircut, but no, we
We can
try
all
to
see
do our
that,
best.
yeah.
Based on, you know, again, the public process comes back to you guys, and then, you know, you kind of come to staff. And it's good to just have that awesome working relationship from coming from every angle.
Oh, it's critical. And again, it's inviting all stakeholders in. So that's not, you know, of course, first and foremost to the residents of our town, the voters here in Dillon, and then the surrounding communities as well, the county as a whole, and then of course we cater to our tourists and our visitors as well. Inviting all these stakeholders in to these conversations that affect people. Another example of that, Matt, just last week we held that public forum on retail marijuana in the town of Dillon. Really well attended.
I was
know-
going to say it was a great turnout.
It was
from what I heard.
fantastic turnout. We always want more, of course. We always want more input, but there were some 60, 70 folks who turned out. I know I saw a lot of you there. Really appreciate you coming and participating. It's these public processes that we are going to pursue going forward, really with all, if it's a liquor license change, if it's something to do with retail marijuana in Dillon and what that is going to look like.
Can I ask you a question? So
Yeah,
I know
please.
that with the retail marijuana, we did hold kind of a special meeting where we invited the public. I know that with a lot of these things, we actually will have public readings. And then how does that work? I mean, is that the public can come, hear it, and then make a comment on it? Does that happen at town council? What's the process with all that?
Sure. So the public hearings with any ordinance change, we do have a number of public readings that are required.
Public readings.
Public readings, yeah, that are required by law. Basically, it's a way of notifying and posting what it is that we're trying to do, and yeah. So in the course of those public readings, there are opportunities for citizen comments. So
Awesome.
we're reading a particular ordinance. I'm going to make this up, but something to do with a noise ordinance in town. If you are particularly interested in sharing your comments on this noise ordinance, you come in and you share your opinions. It's a critical way for us to be able to communicate with.
Do you have to live in Dillon? I mean, with the retail marijuana, I feel like it's the entire community. It's not just the town of Dillon.
Yeah, absolutely. To answer your question directly, everybody is welcome. Everyone's opinion is welcomed. Again, certainly the residents of our town are a priority to the council, but that's not to say that something, for example, like a retail marijuana shop, that's going to affect people that might not live directly in town. That's going to have an impact on the community. So come one, come all.
Yeah.
And
I know there's a
share.
lot of communities very close that technically are outside of Dillon, but it is great to get that input. Moving on a little bit, you kind of touched on different things, the town council looking at the code, revisiting a lot of different things. Again, gonna go back to my cheat sheet.
Sure, yeah.
But I know there were a couple ordinances that were discussed, kind of bringing things current. So one of them, way back in the day, if you wanted to open a business in the town of Dillon, you were required to have a certain number of parking spaces. And again, this is getting kind of out of my comfort zone, but explain this to us. I mean, because I know that there was an ordinance pertaining that you guys just discussed.
Certainly, and I empathize with you. The nitty-gritty code stuff is not the strength of an English major turned ski patroller part-time.
I've done
town
that
council.
too, yeah.
So that's why we have the experts that we do in town. Specifically Dan Burrows does just a great job
Sure.
with our code. Ned West does as well. But yeah, so we exactly to your point. So prior to the changes that we've made, if you wanted to come to Dillon and open up a business, there was, depending on the type of business, a certain number of parking spaces that you'd be required to provide, if that makes sense. So that requirement would be different for a residential unit. It would be different for a retail unit.
Okay.
And if you were unable to come up with the exact number of parking spaces,
Cost you.
it'll cost you, and it used to cost you dearly. We have addressed that. We've changed that to a much more reasonable $100 per space. It's
Slight difference.
There's a bit of a difference. Somebody who's good at math could figure out the percentage difference. It's not me. If you're looking at opening a business here in the county, let's say you're looking at Silverthorne and you're looking at Dillon, and you see that Dillon has this parking in lieu of fee. I know pretty quickly that you're going to start looking elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
and obviously we want to get, economic development has been a priority of the town recently, and so I think that doing all of this, like you said, making these factors, we want Dillon to become the attractive place to open your business.
Absolutely, yeah. For this council, for the last several years, economic development has been the #1 priority. It is atop our list.
Awesome.
This is
come
a
to
great
Dillon,
step.
open a business, and we'll take it easy on the parking
Yeah,
spaces.
exactly.
That kind of
we'll
the gist
spare
of
you
it.
the additional expense.
I'm getting some giggles. I'm getting some giggles from a business owner behind me. So I know that then after that, you guys actually had a number, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 ordinances, but kind of again revisiting some stuff, dealing with Denver water. Obviously having the reservoir here offers some awesome recreation for everybody, tourists, locals alike. So some ordinances pertaining the activities that can be done on the water, as well as some of the activities that we enjoy, like trails around the water. So can you kind of touch on some of that stuff?
Yeah, certainly. So the North Shore of Lake Dillon, that's one of the town's greatest assets. You could argue that it is the #1 asset. We own a lot of that property. That is town of Dillon. However, you're getting near the water, and then the water itself, that is all technically Denver water property. So yeah, there were 2 ordinances that we approved last night, Matt, and both had to do with these ongoing agreements with Denver Water and then the associated stakeholders around the reservoir. So that would include, obviously, town of Dillon, town of Frisco, Forest Service, and then the fourth party being Denver Water. So these are exactly like you said. These are sort of ongoing agreements that are revisited every couple of years. Our point man in town is Mr. Bob Evans, who most of you know from the marina.
Sure.
Anyways, he's our point man for this, and yeah, we appreciate being able to recreate on that lake as much as we do. It's critical to our town. You and I spend a lot of time down there in the summers, needless to say.
Absolutely. And
some for work, some for play.
Right, hopefully. I spend more time down there for work,
I'm afraid you do, yeah.
But the marina is definitely a good part of our brand here in Dillon. Having the reservoir is great, but using the reservoir is even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are actively, as a town, pursuing additional recreational opportunities as well.
You say the North Shore, I just want to go surfing down there.
Absolutely, yeah. Isn't that catchy, the North Shore?
Yeah.
Come visit the North Shore.
We'll work on that in our next commercial.
I'm sure we will, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so those ordinances, they're pretty...
standard stuff. Again, like you said, the public process and dealing with our partners, whether it be Frisco, the county, and Denver Water. So, well, that's awesome. Just about finishing up here, I did want to bring something up. I know that you can kind of breathe easy, but on April 1st, we will be having our municipal town elections. And prior to that, on March the 19th at Dillon Town Hall, it's going to be a candidates forum. All the folks that are up for election or re-election, as it were, will be there. It begins at 7 o'clock, and they'll each kind of give an opening statement. I'm sure you've been through this process. They give an opening statement, and then the community has an opportunity to submit questions prior. We've got a moderator that'll then ask the candidates questions. So really great opportunity, again, for the public to come out, not only get to know the folks that are running for these offices, but actually get some information, some questions that they want answered, to get those things answered. So if you want, again, March 19th, come on over to Town Hall. Will be some light refreshments served up, and we'll move on into that April 1st election. So Louis, thank you very much for coming down and educating me, and hopefully educating the folks out there. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes,
More
sir.
for pleasure than for work, maybe.
I'm sure absolutely. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks, and feel free to reach out to myself or any other council members. We are available, and we're keen on your input. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I can be reached via email at Louis, Louis, at townofdillon.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Louis.
Right
and
on.
if you go to www.townofdillon.com, you can get a lot of that information, not only for the council members, but other folks in town hall. So feel free to reach out and let us know what you're thinking.
See you all soon.
So I'm standing here with Joe from the Gentleman's Barbershop, and I've got all sorts of stuff I want to ask you, but let's start off with maybe a little history of the shop and what goes on here. I mean, I know it's not, your typical barbershop. It's kind of a unique experience. So
we're a classic old school barbershop, which is pretty hard to find these days.
Especially in Summit County.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a unique atmosphere here. We've got a lot of black and white old school pictures around here. We try to keep that feel in the shop. As you can see, I'm wearing suspenders. You don't see that in the county much. We specialize in classic haircuts, traditional. We also do non-traditional. One of the biggest things that you can't find in the county would be the use of a straight razor. We do straight razor shaves. It's an old-fashioned treatment. Steam towels, lather, lay back. I rub a razor over your face. It's kind of the male sauna.
You have a steady hand.
Yes, and have been trained in that, and that's
Right
the key
on.
to barbering is that one piece right there.
Excellent. And how long have you been here?
I've been in the shop for about a year, apprenticing, and now I'm full-time. Been here for 3 months full-time.
Okay. And I feel like earlier we were kind of chatting. The shop itself is coming up in April. It's got an anniversary.
7 years the
coming up.
shop has been here. Yep.
Awesome. And then you were mentioning some potential expansion. I know, is there another apprentice that's
Well,
that's
with me
working?
coming on, I do walk-ins here in the shop.
Which is new, right?
Which is new,
Okay.
yep. The shop hasn't
what's
had
the phone
walk-ins.
number?
The phone number is 970-468-0539.
Excellent. So if you want to do a walk, well, I guess, yeah, if you
You
walk
can look
in,
on our
you don't need the phone
website,
number.
Gentleman's
What am I
Barbershop. You can go to
Okay.
our website
Awesome.
and look at it there, and you can see my hours. But standard, pretty much across the board, Monday through Friday, is 10 to 6. You can walk in and get a haircut.
Awesome. And so then I guess the expansion. So you've been here a year. You now have your own
Yep.
chair.
Scott Lemming is the owner of the shop, and Steve Martin is in school. He's coming on board. We're going to put a third chair in. The wall's coming down. We'll expand the shop. We've got some new and exciting things to really bring in here.
Cool. You're going to need some more black and whites.
Yep, absolutely. There'll be some games, some stuff. Give it that hangout atmosphere so you can come here and hang. And back to some of our services, it's coming into Mustache March.
I was going to say, I jumped to April 1st, and we got to back up to Mustache March.
So March, we carry products for, grooming your mustache, some mustache wax.
I was going to say, yeah, you got to get that
we,
going.
being barbers, we're allowed to trim beards. We do a great job with that and work those into some really nice haircuts. So that's one of our
Do
specialties.
you have to get your mustache trimmed to actually wear the mustache cape? Or
No,
is that not
no,
necessarily
that's
a
Scott's cape,
requirement?
and everybody gets to look at that and
Awesome.
sit under that. It's pretty unique.
Again, I'm resisting getting the haircut today, but I will hold that up if I ever do decide to trim it up.
Got the vampire, the Fu Manchu, the pencil. That was the classic back in the old days.
you can do
I
all
think,
of these.
I think the owner can maybe pull off the pencil mustache. We'll see
So
about that.
that's a tricky one.
And that's the fun part of the shop. Come in here and expect a little bit of banter and have a good time.
I feel like I just noticed a little barber humor there that maybe we might not all understand.
No, you
I
got to
don't
come in
know.
a little bit more for that one. Which you might need a haircut or two.
We've been beating that up, but I'm resisting. If you guys want to come in again, we're at the Riva Mall, just off of Buffalo Street. Gentlemanbarber.com.
Gentleman's Barber, all
Gentleman's
E's.
Barber, all
.com.
E's. Come on down, check them out online, walk right in. So,
Yep.
Joe, thanks for having us.
Nice
and,
meeting you.
Be sure to thank Scott for letting us come in and invade your space for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Thanks a bunch, guys. We'll see you after the next town council meeting.